Welcome to the Teen Life Podcast, where we research teen culture so you can focus on connection. I'm Karlie Duke, and I'm here with my newer co-host, Caleb and Tobin. And we are pumped to be here. I've got an exciting episode. We're going to talk about a TikTok recipe that I'm pumped about and have personally tried and love. We also have a question that I'm going to pose to the pod. And then Tobin is going to do a TikTok trend. And then we're also going to hit up some fall previews, some things that are coming up, mostly to watch. Maybe there's something to listen to, but some things that you can stay ahead of so that you can talk to your teenagers about that. But first, let's get into this TikTok recipe, mostly because I'm a big fan of, if you're listening, recipes that are very few ingredients, are very easy, maybe even so easy your teenager could do it. And so I will post a TikTok recipe, and maybe if you need a break from cooking dinner, send the link to your teen and be like, hey, go pick up these things and make dinner for us tonight. And they could totally do it. So it is a play on a meatball sub. I don't know if y'all are meatball sub kind of guys.
Oh yeah. If I go to Jason's Deli, I get the meatballa is what it's called.
Yeah.
So
pre-30 years old, I was definitely into meatball subs.
Okay, there you go.
Post-30, not so much. So.
Well, this is a play on it, and all it is meatballs. You can get them frozen, and then you don't have to do anything at all. Maybe some marinara sauce, garlic toast. You know that good like Texas toast that is like in the frozen section, and then sliced mozzarella.
The cheese on it.
Well, I suppose you could do that. You don't have to.
My goodness. Listen, there's frozen ones that come with the cheese already on it. You just stick in the oven. Oh.
Well, you're adding cheese, but if you want double cheese and you don't have like stomach issues, then sure, go for it. Yeah. But what you're going to do is you're going to cook the meatballs down in that sauce. Real easy on the stove. It takes like 5 minutes. And then you're gonna do your Texas toast at the same time, that garlic toast at the same time. When it's good and crispy, you take it out, you put like 3 meatballs on each piece of toast, put a slice of cheese over it, stick it back in the oven so that gets melty, and you're done. It's bomb. I made it one day and it was very quick. Josh was a huge fan. My kids ate it. I mean, that's a win.
Sounds awesome. I'm not going to eat it, but it sounds awesome.
No, I would for sure go double cheese on this one. Like I'm getting that cheesy garlic bread, double down on the mozzarella on top,
and then you're just going to hate your life the rest of the day, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But life.
Make sure you do this for dinner, so that way you can just hate your life into bedtime. So,
not be able to sleep. So worth it.
That's funny. Okay, so we had a question come to us from one of our listeners, and so this is a food related question, and it's kind of a hot topic right now. So we'll transition right into that. So it says, should students be allowed to DoorDash lunch to school? Okay, I have a student who has personally done this. My own son has done this. Okay, so before I get into some things that I see as cons and some issues about this, rapid fire, what do y'all think? Yes or no before I present arguments?
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I tend to be pretty chill guy on like things like, but no, I gotta say no.
See, I think I'm a yes, but I get it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually went to a school a couple weeks ago that has a DoorDash station. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know those like generic cubby hole, like you put the little you make it's like from Target, like $20, and it's like a 6 cubbies or whatever. They have like 4 of those stacked up in their like vestibule lobby, and that is literally where the DoorDash orders go. And so it's just every one of them is just full of DoorDash. I mean, this is at a high school that has 4,000 kids, and so it's just every time I've gone there, it's been full of food. So my first con that I've listed. So if you're listening to this and you're like thinking to yourself, man, I don't know how I feel about that. From a school's perspective, there is so much congestion in the front office whenever you do this. Because if you are at a small school, obviously it's not as big, but in our area where there's a lot of 5, 6A schools. And so if you're at a 5 or 6A high school and you think about the fact that they have thousands of kids doing this, and the front office people, they are really kind of there. They're kind of like, this sounds awful, but they're kind of like the front line of defense that keeps people out of the school that need to be out. And so if they're being distracted or congested or just busy with these constant DoorDashers, like think about that kind of congestion that happens. Okay. because a lot of times the schools are not made to where they can just like set it outside and then the kid can go grab it. Like they have to go through the front office to get where they need to go. So I think that's also a pretty big safety risk, if I'm being honest, like for the school's perspective. And I mean, those are the two biggest issues. One thing that a lot of people don't think about, I have a nephew who's 6 months old and journeying through this already, but like there's a lot of allergy issues on campuses. And if some of this food comes in that has, like, I know there's a lot of campuses that are completely peanut free, or they have allergies like blocks on campus. Like, there was one campus I went to a couple years ago that was completely banana free. Like some kid had like this big time, like deathly allergy to bananas. And so they had all of these signs up at every single door that said like no bananas on campus. Like, and and I asked about it and they said, oh, it's because there's a student here that like it could kill them if they're on campus. Like that kind of, it seems dramatic, but that could be a situation for that as well. And on top of the fact that it's not always on time, the kids they're gonna be annoying about it. Like it's just it seems like there's a lot of things. I'm like making the argument against myself right now, but so here's some things on how we can maybe alleviate this. I think the biggest thing is just make sure that they have a lunch that's not, the same every day, or give them ideas. Like if it is school lunch, then they can do school lunch some days, but that's better at some schools than it is others. Maybe it's bringing them into the planning, like having them like go shopping with you and kind of pick what they want for lunch. Maybe it's helping them kind of get what they need to get to do. One of the things that I will say from a former teacher's perspective as a teacher is I had students all the time that would ask me to use my microwave. And I'm like, no, like, I mean, of course I said yes, but I'm like, why are you sending things as a parent that need to be microwaved? Like
it takes so much time. You got to wait in line at the microwave.
Yeah, because a lot of people are bringing microwaves. There's limited amount of microwaves. You're eating your Red Baron pizza thing that you brought like with 5 minutes left at lunch.
Did y'all have a microwave at your school? Like in your lunchroom?
Like two.
What?
There were two for the whole lunchroom.
That's wild.
But then someone would get like Easy Mac and they'd be sitting at the microwave for 5 minutes heating up their macaroni.
And they'd forget to put the water in sometimes. And then it smells like burnt mac and cheese the whole lunch.
Yeah.
Don't forget to put the water in, Darren.
It's funny. My son has done the exact same thing in my mom's house and literally caught the microwave on fire. So when you said earlier, have your teens cook, I was like, no, sir, you cannot cook. So, but that's wild to me. Y'all literally blowing my mind. I did not realize that schools had microwaves in their cafeteria. Well, that was not a thing at my school or any schools I've been in, or taught in. So, I just think that as a parent, there's a lot of things that you kind of have to take control of, and it might. This is awful. It might be, suck it up, go have school lunch. You'll be fine. Get your chicken nuggets and your mashed potatoes, and then just deal with it. But I know Karlie's a big TikTok person. Find ideas on TikTok. Find things that you can do. I don't think it needs to be like, if you have a teenager, you don't need to be doing those elementary cute lunches and putting an hour into creating a nice design or whatever. Like, that's not necessary. But DoorDash at schools, I think, is going to be one of those topics over the next couple of years. Like it's already started, but I think that's going to be one of those, like, we're going to start banning those things for sure.
Yeah, I think it's the first thing that came to my mind was that safety concern of, I mean, if the school is used to having like DoorDash drivers that they don't know, around the school, then it just, that safety concern. I think the schools would almost have to adapt to something like a cubby system in like an area outside of school that they can at least drop it off, or but I think schools would either have to adapt or be able to just ex-nay it. And then plus two, the thing we're not talking about, DoorDash is expensive.
That's so fair.
Like, so expensive.
Like double what you would pay at the restaurant.
Right. And for double, triple what you'd pay at the school lunch. But
also, like, I think part of this that we're also not talking about is, in the last 10, 15 years, school lunches have gotten a lot worse. And listen, I know it's because of health concerns and health issues, and like, we're not allowed to use salt on anything. Like one time when I was teaching, I went to the cafeteria and I asked for salt, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have any," because like my to be fair, my potatoes were very bland, and I was like, I need some salt. And they were like, oh no, we don't have any on campus. I was like, oh, I was looking for like the
Whoa.
secret teacher stash. I'm like, no, we can't have it at all because of federal
Wow.
guidelines and stuff. And so I think that has affected this somewhat too. So like, I mean, if I'm a school like or like an administration, like I'm thinking about like, yes, you do need to make sure you don't offer awful things only, but also like this is also a money making thing for you. Like there's more money for you if you make the lunch more desirable for these kids, and
Mm-hmm.
you can have your healthy options, but just like every other adult, they have the choice to make the bad choice too. I don't know, it's a fine line, and I know a lot of parents kind of like get mad about that kind of stuff too, but yeah, the school lunches have gotten significantly different in the last 15 years too. So
I was talking to someone just the other day, like around here, and now I don't know if they're everywhere. Salad and Go is a big thing now. And their model, what they encourage, because they do breakfast burritos and then a salad, is like come in the morning, get your breakfast, get your salad, and then you have lunch ready to go too. So if you have a teenager who's like, I don't want to eat, I don't want to make a lunch, I don't want to eat at school, I don't want to DoorDash, maybe find an option like that they could pick up on their way to school, or that you could get several of the week before that they just have ready to go and they get to sit down and eat. So just another option too.
yeah, and incentivize it too. Like say, hey, if you will just do XYZ for Monday through Thursday, then on Friday, like I'll get you something special. Or like if you're struggling, like I mean, like listen, you got to pick your battle sometimes, and sometimes it might be, hey, if you do this from Monday through Friday, I'll send you Chick-fil-A, or I'll bring you Chick-fil-A. But I know some schools have even gone as far to say you're not allowed to drop off food for kids too, like even parents. And so like they're kind of just taking that out completely, so don't have to even have the argument anymore. So it makes sense. Like I get it.
School.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to Tobin's trend this week. Have y'all seen this on TikTok? Have y'all seen the TikTok shop yet? Have y'all seen it?
It's everywhere.
I haven't.
It's all I see now. My sister brought it up at my house the other day, and I hadn't really seen it. And then the next day, my whole TikTok day was just, I'm selling this thing on the TikTok shop, and it was wild. Yeah.
So the two I'm getting right now are the Unbrush.
Yep. Same. Yep.
Which is, it like doesn't have a back to it, so it's healthier for your hair. It's better for tangles. I see it all the time. And then do you get the spinning scrubber brush?
No, I don't get that one.
It's like a cleaning brush, like for your house, but it spins, so it's electric. And so if you wanted to clean your shower, you don't have to like scrub. It sits there and spins. And the only way, at least that I've seen, that you
really
know,
lazy, but okay,
yeah,
well, sure, but I'm like really close to buying it. I'm not going to lie, because I've seen it probably 100 times at this point. But it will say, I can't remember the exact wording, but like for commission. It'll tag. So these are like normal videos by normal people. It doesn't look the same as an ad, but then you'll see a tag that says like eligible for commission, I think is what it says. And that's how you know, oh, these are TikTok shop things that then you can click in the video, go to it, buy it. They're offering all kinds of coupons for it, like 50% off the first thing you buy. They're really pushing it right now.
Yeah, I've seen the Unbrush a lot. The other thing I've seen is those Ambernick like all-in-one game systems. Like they have all like the emulators for, you know, Nintendo and Super Nintendo, Sega, all that stuff. I don't trust. So let me give some stats on this. So it launched on September 12th in the US. It's been around for a while in other countries. E-commerce was $100 billion last year. So this is considered e-commerce. Out of that 100 billion, I don't know if y'all looked at these notes. So if you did, I guess you probably did. So I was going to say guess, but you can't because you've seen it. In Indonesia last year, Indonesia accounted for $52 billion of that.
Wow, so over half.
Literally more than half. They had said that TikTok has said that they're hoping for $10 million in sales daily. And right now they're currently only at 4 million a day.
Only.
So gosh, yeah. How dare y'all not do well? Like Karlie said, they're partnering with influencers. I'll tell you, my reservation is I got burned real bad on an Instagram one a couple years ago. I saw this chair that was like this, like you sit in the chair and it was like a hammock, and I was like, oh my God, I need that. And so I bought it. It was like $60 and it never showed up. Like 6 months later, it showed up and it was not even close to what I had bought on Instagram. And so like, I get this weird feeling with this TikTok shop that it's the same kind of thing, that I'm putting my information in and it's just going to be a scam, or it's going to take forever to get here, or it's not going to be what it actually is. So I'm kind of in the camp now where I'm waiting to see like who is real on this stuff, like who's actually getting these things, or who is just selling it and they're going to send me junk instead.
I've had a similar experience. I'm trying to remember if it was Instagram but I saw an ad and it was a floating golf thing that you like would hit from land into your pool. We bought it. I bought it for my father-in-law for Father's Day. And what came in the mail were 2 golf balls. That's it. I spent like $50 on this big floating
Yep.
thing, and I got 2 golf balls in the mail, and that was it. So I think you're right, Tobin. Like, be careful. There are things like I've said, I've seen the scrubbing brush all over the place. You can find it on Amazon. So maybe if your teen sees it and likes it, encourage them. Hey, if you see something you like, number one, ask questions. Do you really need that?
Mhm.
But then also maybe find it on a reputable site like Target, Walmart, Amazon, something you know it's actually going to come to your door and not TikTok shop.
I think, like, for me, thank goodness I haven't seen this
Oh, no.
because I am a sucker for, like, Instagram ads. Like, a lot of my wardrobe is from Instagram ads, and
That's funny.
typically, like, clothes, they know, man. They know my style because, like, oh, they're too good at it. Like, most of my hats that I have are from. I've never been burnt though on Instagram because I think I mainly stick to clothes, and then I've never gotten these weird Instagram ads. Sometimes I'll see YouTubers that will buy the weirdest Instagram ads that they can find and
Mhm.
kind of, is this a scam? Like, does this work or not? And things like that. But thank goodness this hasn't been a trend for me on TikTok. But I think there's also, like you said, an opportunity here to teach your student, like your
Yeah.
kids, like, okay, like with all of this. And I mean, just like we said last week, of like all these companies adapting to the younger
Yeah.
generation because they realize there's money there, whether it's NFL or marketing. They're good at marketing to this younger generation. And so teaching them the ability to say, okay, do I need this? Do you need this? Do you have the money to maybe save up to where you're not spending all the money that you have on this one thing? And, then teaching them, okay, just know, right? Not all of them are reputable. Maybe screen them
Yeah.
before you buy it.
And that's the thing too, is like, if you do have the money, then it's no different than, like, I feel like we went through hey, when you get an email with a link that you don't see, don't click that link. It's the same. Like, it's kind of like the more advanced version of that. We talked about this last week with deepfakes and stuff. Is like, if you are not sure of where it's coming from and it's asking for information that in a situation that you don't trust, then don't use it. But like the great thing about this too is that, like, Apple Pay is combating some of that, because every time you use Apple Pay, it's technically a different card number. And so that way they can't necessarily track what your card is. So like, yeah, I mean, so maybe think about, hey, if I'm gonna do this, maybe I go buy a Visa gift card and load it up so that way it's not my actual credit card number. Or maybe if I can use Apple Pay, I know it's safe that way. And so just kind of be safe and smart about it.
Yeah, it's funny, like, seeing all of these scams. That we had a friend that the one that's going around right now is hey, we will forgive all student loan debt. And one of our friends, she's like, I was about to enter my routing number before I realized, wait, maybe this isn't it. And so, I mean, listen, maybe we all need some tap on the shoulder of this.
Student loan forgiveness, I agree. Yeah. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But right now, we talked last week about different Halloween costume ideas for, the fall that's just around the corner. But there's also a lot of stuff just in this last push of the year with TV shows, music, movies. And it's honestly a little slim this year, because I feel like this, like, October, November, December is usually like peak TV and movies.
Well,
but the
it's
writer
the
strike
writer
and all
strike.
that,
Yeah.
has made it slim. But it's also been peak reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently. But right now, I think it's already started up by now. But Loki, TV show on Disney Plus with all of the Marvel universe, is getting a second season, and that just started up. I know it had a big first season that it was one of the big pushes that Disney Plus was making as one of their first original shows, and it did well. And I think it's the first like Marvel original that's getting a second season, and so that's out. And I think they're doing like weekly releases. Then along with Disney Plus, Goosebumps is just right here, Disney Plus, October 13th. So just
Are y'all
in time for
old
Halloween.
enough for the original books? Are y'all old enough for
Yes.
that?
I don't feel like we were allowed to read them, though.
I never read them. I was too scared though.
I knew what they were. This is a TV show, right?
They had 2 movies, and I think this
Mhm.
is the TV. There was a TV show when I was a kid too.
The
Like, there was
movie had Jack Black in it, right? And it was kind
Yeah,
of
the first one did.
funny and
Yeah.
Mhm.
in the combination.
I
I haven't
took-
done too much research into it because I don't
These
like
books were
scary things.
huge when I was like in elementary school, like massive. So like 10 years before y'all even or Karlie was even born. Like they were huge, and they like I had all like 60 of them. I had all my stuff, my bookcase, and read every single one of them. And then the TV show came out, and it was terrifying. Like, it was made for kids, but I was like, it made it too real. Like, it was like,
Mhm.
okay, never mind, I can't watch this. And so like, it's kind of cool that it's coming back around a little bit. So I actually am excited about this one. I'm going to watch this one next week. So
Yeah, so I think that'll be cool too for those people that grew up with it and being able to
Mhm.
kind of be able to introduce this thing that you love to your kids too.
Yeah.
If you're not too scared for
it's
it.
that dang ventriloquist dummy that
Ugh.
one's creepy. That was like his main
I know what
character.
you're talking about.
And it was
Mhm.
they used the same kind of guy in Toy Story 4, and when he popped up, I was like, ah, like no, don't like that. So
Flashbacks. No.
Well, I think speaking of horror, Five Nights at Freddy's was an
huge.
app, right? I don't think I'm wrong.
It was a
I remember,
game.
It's a game.
but you could have it on your phone too, right?
It's all the things. Like, it started
Okay.
out as a cheap like kind of game that wasn't really supposed to do anything, and then it exploded. And so
Yes.
then it became an app, then it became merchandise and all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
I just remember being at basketball games and like kids around me would be playing this game on their phone, and you just hear them go,
Mhm.
ah, and they jump because correct me if I'm wrong, y'all probably know more about this than me, but the point is like jump scares.
A little bit. Yeah, I
Kinda,
think
yeah.
the original game was, and like there's right now, and I don't know much about it, but there's like deep lore behind it all of like these different animatronic characters. But basically, imagine this. You are hired at essentially a Chuck E. Cheese, right? Old school Chuck E. Cheese with the animatronic dancing mouse and the
Sure.
characters, right? For like night security. And then you're in the security room and you have to be watching these cameras, and then basically the animatronics will be moving closer to the security room. But I think they only move really whenever you're not watching them. And so the goal is to like make sure that they don't get to you before the night is over. And it leads to a
Which
lot
is
of jump
awful.
scares.
Like, you're
Yeah.
scaring
Mhm.
me just talking about it. Like, I just
Yeah. And this is a movie that's coming out on Peacock. So
And the hard thing
Beware.
about this, I'll tell
Mhm.
y'all as a parent, because Karlie, your kids are not old enough to even know what this is yet. But like, when this kind of became popular, Jude was in elementary school, and the hard thing is that they marketed it to kids big time,
Mhm.
and it looked like it was something for kids, and it was
Yeah.
and it's not like, I think if I remember correctly, it's 12 plus, so it's not like
Mhm.
a inappropriate thing, but it's like one of those things where it's like, man, it's not inappropriate, but do I really want my kid playing and doing this? And so I really did struggle as a parent of kind of like setting that boundary of like, do I want him to be on this game and this app and stuff?
Sure.
Because there was a lot of it that's just like, it's just too, like I think like Adventure Time and regular show, like some shows like that have like just enough adult humor where you're like, I don't know if this is great for the kids that they're marketing it towards. And that
Right.
this kind of falls in that category as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've seen, and I know enough about like what it is because it's such a cultural thing, especially with students. But I refuse to play it. Scary for me. I can't do that. The bears are scary. They're animatronic like bears. They're
Mm-mm.
scary.
Yeah, I don't even like the real life Chuck E. Cheese ones. Like, I'm glad that they got rid of those because those things were
Right.
terrifying. So, yeah. But I'm a giant wimp. So,
Switching to music, Taylor Swift's 1989, Taylor's version is coming out October 27th. So that's another thing. That's the same day as Five Nights at Freddy's. So if you had to choose
Oh.
between the two, I think I'd choose
Wow.
Taylor personally.
When is the Taylor Swift like concert thing coming out?
next
That
week,
will
like,
already that's
October
already out.
13th.
It's
Mhm.
already out.
Mhm.
Okay. Did you see that Beyonce is also releasing a live concert in theaters as well?
Yes.
Trying to jump on the Taylor Swift train.
It's
I
smart.
think.
Why not? If you can sell tickets to it, I don't see why you wouldn't do it personally. Very interesting. Now, The Marvels is also coming out. I don't know. Did y'all Tobin, I don't know. Are you really a Marvel guy?
My wife is, and I am too, but I have a lot of superhero fatigue right now. When Endgame
Sure.
was over, that's whenever Disney Plus started ratcheting up all the series, and I kept coming back, and like I've seen all the stuff. I feel like they're just spinning tires a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I'm very thankful that they are choosing a different type of superhero with Miss Marvel, and like I think it's a really cool
Yes.
story and everything. And that was great. She annoyed me to death, like because they made her too teenagery and like kind of like like I'm saving the world, but I still like this cute boy, and I'm like I was really annoyed with it, and so um I'm not very optimistic about this upcoming movie. I think it's going to be really campy. And I think Captain Marvel was incredible and Brie Larson was incredible. And I think this one's going to kind of, I don't know, maybe I could be wrong. I'm going to see it like because I see all of them, but I feel like they're now in the mode of we're going to keep doing this stuff because it makes money, but we don't really have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whenever I get kind of grumpy about stuff. So
sure. I loved Miss Marvel though. That's such a fun.
that's funny.
It was so funny. So
I know I used to be your Marvel.
I know
Your Marvel, like
you're the one I always
you would
call when I need to talk
you'd
about Marvel
always
stuff.
call me for Marvel, and I can't do it. I think like my love for Marvel started like babysitting. Like when I was in middle school, I'd go help you like babysit like Jackson Thanem, and he'd watch he'd watch like all the Marvel like
Old
animated TV
cartoons.
shows, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. Got really into it, and yeah, for me it was after Endgame has been hard for me to keep up. Like you'll call me and be like, "What'd you think of this?" I was like, "I haven't seen it."
Now,
Feels
one I
weird.
am excited about is there's a new Hunger Games movie that's kind of a prequel origin story, I suppose. Like it happens before the original trilogy, called The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is like the setup of like how the Hunger Games actually got started.
It's the President Snow origin story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I read the
Yeah.
book and
Yeah.
I didn't like it as much as the original trilogy, but I think it'll be interesting. I feel like those are always well done and they're hyping it up really big. So
Yeah.
that's potentially one to watch coming out in November. However, have y'all seen the one that I think I'm most excited about because I've seen the trailer for? Did you just give a head shake, Tobin? Okay. I'm excited about Wonka. Are you not a Wonka fan? The sigh.
I think it looks like it's gonna be really cringy. I think Timothy Chalamet is great. He's a great actor. I think he will do a good job. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older and I'm seeing a lot of my things I grew up with kind of rehash a little bit. And sometimes it's great, but sometimes I'm like, can we just leave it alone? Like,
Yeah,
but
this is the third one, right? The third.
well, and it's the first
Yeah.
prequel, so like that's why I'm willing to give it a chance because it's kind of like a prequel. But it's like how he gets to where he's at. So I think it'll be good. I think there's a lot of great people in it. I'm very nervous about it though.
I love Hugh Grant. I'm just
And
excited.
see, I hate Hugh Grant. So that was
That's
when
fair.
he showed up at the end of it. I was like, no. Like I was like, so that was kind of my first like, man, I don't know. Like so, yeah.
I have a love-hate relationship with Timothy Chalamet because my wife loves him so much. But like he's great, and I think like looking at the trailers, yeah, it kind of looks. It's a prequel, and it looks more. They're emphasizing, and they should like the fun and the wacky, and it looks good. And I think you listen if you guys realize like the original Willy Wonka's like based on this guy who owns a chocolate factory that like kills kids. Like that's crazy. So I'm glad we're straying away from that a little bit, and we get.
Well,
to
are
see,
we? We don't know. We haven't seen it
we
yet.
don't.
Yeah.
See, I think it'd be interesting of like almost like a thriller, the origin of Wonka.
A horror movie.
That'd be great. That's what I want. I would watch that.
Can you imagine the bait and switch of getting people in there like, yay, Willy Wonka, and it's like, go straight into horror.
Oh goodness.
The one that I am most excited about coming up though is the Percy Jackson and the Olympians, because I grew up, I had every Percy Jackson book, Rick Riordan, like all the spin-offs, and I remember those movies came out and like they were good, but they left a lot to be desired. And so I'm excited. And I know this one will be played down to, even a younger generation than me, but I'm still hoping it'll hit that nostalgia.
Yeah, because
for
this one's
me.
a TV series, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think, it being a movie kind of handicapped it a little bit, but
Sure.
I'm excited for the show.
Yeah. Well, with that, we encourage you look into some of these. I'm not saying that you need to watch all of them, and maybe honestly, your teenager doesn't even need to watch all of them. So look into what's
Right.
best for you and your family, but maybe use this as a way to say, hey, let's pick one and we're all going to watch it together. And that could be a fun way to connect with your teenager this fall. And at the Teen Life Podcast, we believe that teenagers are not a problem to be solved, but there's a way that you can connect and there's a way that you can find common ground and work with your teenager. And we hope that we've helped you do that today. And so if you love the Teen Life Podcast, make sure you subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you next time.